Hi, today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Brilliant Builder activity badge and how it relates to the Squirrels section, as well as how it can be used to also incorporate other badges and perhaps even the Chief Scout's Acorn Award into the same sort of night and activities here. So we're going to start off by running through the different requirements here that are on the screen, and then I'll talk how these can interact with other badges that also exist within the Squirrels section. So to start with, we have buildings, statues, and bridges can be made of a lot of different materials. Can you create something strong that can hold something heavy? So this is obviously something to do with structural design and things like that. Number two, people live in all sorts of buildings. They were all designed by people called architects and built by people called builders. Choose a toy or teddy, design a home for them to live in, and then build it. You can use whatever you'd like to draw or design it, and then build it using whatever else makes sense. And finally, some of the best builders are animals who create their own places to live, work as a team to build a big den that you can all sit in and do an activity. So obviously this is something that you can run as, or is intended to be run as, one large event rather than individually done at home. I mentioned that this is reasonably standalone. However, if you think a little bit about how they're going to design this, if they're doing it on paper or drawing it as some kind of model using crayons, that would also count towards the Get Creative Activity badge as well for the squirrels. So you can actually think about ways you can tie Brilliant Builder in with that Get Creative Activity badge, especially if they sort of make the designs here using various different natural materials. As it says here, natural materials. There's also a keyword that's used a lot in things like the Get Creative Activity badge too. In addition, by doing this as a part of a team, you could actually link this into the Feel Good Activity badge too, especially if you think about sitting in it all together and doing an activity. If you try and make that activity very upbeat, perhaps as some kind of reflection or sing-song, that would count towards the Feel Good Activity badge, especially as part of the Feel Good Activity badge says create a comfy space to spend some time with your friends at Squirrels. So obviously building a big den would count as building that comfy space for your friends at Squirrels. It actually even mentions about building a blanket fort or a den. So again, that's another way of mixing these two activities together and getting them both done at the same time. You can actually link as well into potentially the Let's Celebrate activity badge. If you make this related to some kind of culture, so if you think about building different buildings and the designs of those, if you link it into some kind of cultural event or religious event, that might be a very good way to get that Let's Celebrate activity badge together as well, especially if you do that sort of sing-song bit inside the den. That would also count for a different aspect of that Let's Celebrate activity badge. Finally, the last, I'd say, activity badge you can link into Brilliant Builder would be the Storytime activity badge, where if you do, instead at some point along here, perhaps at the end, you sort of mention about stories or tell stories to each other, that would count towards a Storytime activity badge. You could get both of those in one go. Moving on to the Chief Scouts Acorn Award, perhaps by incorporating games alongside this, perhaps some type of game of tag where they have to run between the different dens they built, that would count towards the Altogether Challenge Award. Especially as working together and sort of having that fun with some games would count towards it too. Beyond that, there's not many other ways I can see to link this into the other badges that exist within the Squirrels section. Although I'm sure if you think about it on your own time after this video, you may be able to think of more. Hopefully that's been useful. Have a great day. Bye bye.